Okay, next question.
Hi, I'm Rocky. I'm from KE Electric. What things do you do within your own organizations to recognize and develop leaders?
I'll start. We give them a blue shirt and a tie. I'm just kidding. I think you're the only tie in the room. I'm impressed. It's a tough question because the folks that are being recognized are clearly very appreciative of that recognition, but there's the other half of the group that may not be being recognized. Now, I realize they earn that, so it's a fine balance. We do discrete things. We try to include them in the key decisions of the organization. Formally, we have an employee advisory group, and it's just by chance in some cases that many of those folks that are leaders find their way onto that employee advisory group. So this group of people, it's 12 associates. We're in a company of 300, so a very small fraction, but they know they're being asked to participate on that council, that group that helps guides the key decisions of the organization. So we talk about significant employee benefits, medical cost, 401k structure, strategic direction. Are we heading down the right path with consolidation of resources, consolidation of warehouses? So you have key operational folks, you have key sales folks, you've got key decision makers that are a part of that group. They know why they're there, but yet you're doing your very best not to offend the folks that may not have gotten that invitation. But they clearly know they have a say in where we're going as a company. So that's how we do it.
All right, I'm not bashful, so I'll jump in. At our company, it's built around natural teams. You hear a lot of the teamwork and the word teams and natural teams around Mayer Electric. So, and you ask our two guys here, that's an integral part of how we have stayed together as a company for all the years are our teams. We start every single team meeting, and those teams meet once a month. We call them quality wins. So each person gets up and tells something that they want to share, whether it be personal, whether it be business related, or something's happened in the world. And it starts off, first of all, that breaks the ice of folks wanting to speak up in a meeting. That's where we tend to have our recognition for our associates, when things are going well, feeding information back and forth. So the natural team environment has been a culture for Mayer. And that's on a local level, and it gets all of our associates involved. But on a larger scale, we have what's called a circle of excellence. And we have created categories to have as many winners as possible over the different years, whether you're sales, operations, whether you're showing community involvement, overall leadership. And we take nominations from our associates. So peers get to nominate peers, and then the list is kind of vetted a little bit. And then once a year, we'll bring our Circle of Excellence winners to Birmingham, and they actually get recognized in front of our branch managers meeting, and then we have a formal recognition at night. That's been really, and of course, in my opinion, it's been very positive. I'd be curious how two guys here if they happen to agree. But we've been able to really identify a lot of different folks, whether it's community involvement. You can get a lot of environment, a lot of positive teamwork and leadership when you're working on, let's say, junior achievement and bowling-thon and raising money for your local community, working for a local Ronald McDonald House. You get your customers involved, you get your suppliers involved, and then kind of leads into a little bit of recruitment. And again, like Sandy said, you're selling Mayer. You're selling the brand. That's how you kind of tie all that together. Kind of rambled.
I'll mention one other thing that's so important is the incorporation of one's ideas and recognizing that person for it. For an example, let's just say there's a process that we're struggling with. We put a team of people together and have them try to figure that out. And if it means a program modification because the process will run smoother in all the department that's represented in that group, we change our program and we let everybody know this is what we're going to support. So when you think about your processes even, and you think about the things that can change, and if you have a community of people that you can bring together to promote positive change and efficiencies, then I think that too is just another way you can offer something to your employees and make them feel like they have contributed to a great cause of an issue that you had in your company.
We're fortunate enough to have one of our employees here as one of the 30 under 35, and he is being recognized as a leader or a potential leader at City Electric. But one of the things that he did, first he earned his CEP through the NAED. He's going to school at night. He has a pretty full plate with 3 kids and a lovely wife. And at any rate, when he finished his CEP, I gave him the challenge and said, you know, you've done such a great, he was our first, he's the only in New York State, which surprises me. But when he earned his CEP, I said, Mark, what I'd love for you to do is you go recruit 5 more people in our company to take the challenge, and you mentor them and work with them to earn the CEP, which he did do, and now he's on his second go around of it. So I think sometimes you get a better buy-in when you have an employee, 2 employees together that can help to mentor each other, and it also helps build the skills of our Mark. So that helps.
Okay, how about a question from the back?
Hi, Shannon Edens from QSSI. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Charlie and the Collette family for their longevity in the industry. I know it's challenging being multiple generations in the workforce. My brother and I are second generation within our company, and I was wondering if you had words of advice on how to succeed and how to work with your family within the workforce and be a part of the 17% that succeeds and not the 30 or the 83% that doesn't.
Thank you. I appreciate that. First of all, I'm going to make sure Sandy doesn't talk to my sister, because I do work for my sister, so I don't want her to fire me. Make sure that doesn't happen. So you guys from Mayor, make sure you get a good report. I did a nice job. You ask a great question, and it can kind of overlap between family and your associates at your company. It's really communication. It's really learning how to get along. It sounds really kind of simple. But as a family, we started meeting on succession planning over 20 years ago. And we call our group a real simple, coming from Alabama, you got to do things really kind of simple. So we call us as G3. We're the 3rd generation. So can you guess what the next one is? That's G4. Okay. G5 will be here in September. But we have our G3 meeting. And we read a book very early on, The Goose That Laid the Golden Egg. And each sounds kind of silly, but each generation has got to read that book. We like it because it's short and it's got a lot of pictures. Yeah. Again, we're from Alabama. Got to keep it slow here. So have a little humor, have a little fun. But it's all about protecting the goose that laid the golden egg. And we stress with our family on a regular basis, we got to protect Mayor Electric. We got to protect the entity. And it goes into hiring the right people, being involved in your community, being involved in your industry, not taking a lot out of the business. Keep reinvesting in the business, because our family looks at it from, it's not just our family, but when you lay across our shoulders, we have over 900 families that are depending upon us to make the right decisions. And then you say, well, it's not really 900 families, because you think of all the thousands of customers that we have every day and all of our suppliers that we have every day. And our community, there's tens of thousands of people that are just relying on Mayor Electric and our family to do the right things. And when you see the whites in the eyes of our children, you look across that and they're realizing they have an awesome responsibility. But again, it goes back to meeting. We've met for over 20 years. We've never missed a meeting, all of us together. We meet 3 times a year. And we really, the first time we met, it was learning how to read a balance sheet. Well, looking at a P&L, knowing what P&L meant. That was a definition. We had to learn that. And we've learned over the years of how to communicate, how to make tough decisions. We were very, very fortunate in the fact that my father, who's 81, had the foresight to do it and to plan and to give us the opportunity to make decisions. About 5 years ago, the family got to make the decision on choosing the next president of the company. Pretty bold step. So the family and our advisory board got together, interviewed 7 candidates. They were all internal candidates, and we chose who was going to be the next leader. That's monumental because we were able to make a decision, come to a consensus of who was going to have that leadership. But we've been practicing for 20 years to make big decisions. We had a meeting back in January, and it was really kind of neat. We had all the generations in the room. You had my dad, who is 81. You have my son, who's now 12, sitting around a table. And we spent a day and a half, and people may say, what did y'all talk about for a day and a half? And it was about family. It was about getting along. It was about the business. And I like to pick on my youngest son. He was sitting next to me, and he wrote down, what does P&L mean? Had to explain what profit and loss meant. He asked what continuous quality improvement meant. So we answered that question. And he asked a couple of great questions. We had a guy come in and speak to us about being involved in the family business and what it meant as one of our leaders from Georgia. And he'd had a story where he had worked for mayor for a number of years. He had left, and then he had come back to mayor to work. So my son leaned over to me and said, why do you hire somebody who's already left you? It's from a 12-year-old. That's a pretty powerful comment to come from a 12-year-old. He follows that up later in the meeting when we're kind of having a recap of, and this was a summary, we're all sitting on the table, and I was reading off his iPad, or his iTouch. I thought he was playing a game. He was actually taking notes from a family meeting. And the gist of it was getting along, communicating, and having fun. And his last line was, parents, stay out of our business. From a fortune. So that's what we do.
I think it's a great question. I don't know what the percentage of family businesses are in the room, but my guess is it's rather high. Somewhat different than Charlie's experience and in his organization, I'm actually an in-law. So I watch all this stuff from the sidelines, indirectly associated with all those decisions, but yet very cautious about my engagement. I have to watch that I don't interrupt what Charlie's company is doing so well. At the same time, try to keep the company going in the right direction to provide the very things that the family provides. But he mentioned two key points. First was succession, and much like Charlie's dad, our owner and chairman started the process when his father died in '84, so that would be a long, long time ago. And when his father died, who was a master of succession, so he would have been our first owner and founder, he died with 1 share of stock. So there was 0 transfer issues, estate issues. There was no cash flow strain on the P&L. All the things that can get in the way of the future growth of an organization, they were all taken care of. So succession is key. The earlier you start it, the better. The next point that Charlie mentioned, and they do a far superior job than we could ever say we're doing right now, and that is the communication. Very impressive that you're meeting 3 times a year, and the fact you can get a 12-year-old to sit through an hour meeting, let alone a day and a half meeting. We do our best in communicating. We have a family council that meets once a year. It's not enough. I wish we could meet more. And it gets even more complicated when the generations spread and you have non-active owners. So I don't know, Charlie, if I could summarize: plan your succession and make sure you communicate.
And I'll tell you, it's been difficult as a family, but we made a commitment. And there are many baseball games, soccer games, trips that we've had to plan around. Births of children, you have to plan, but you move meetings. But it becomes it's a true sacrifice, and you have to make a commitment. We did go out and get some help. We have a family business advisor. He has been with us for over 20 years, and it's actually kind of fun to turn the tables on him, because as G4 has been meeting, we asked this gentleman, what's your succession plan? He didn't have one. He's a family business consultant. He kind of laughed. But we've helped him make a transition for his business. So G4 has their own advisor. Our group has our own advisor. And that's how we tend to. But you've got to make a commitment, and you got to make the sacrifices to do it.
I have a question for you, Charlie. Where do you hold that meeting? Mexico? Bahamas?
Again? Nice. We do it, I call it the mayor way. We actually meet in either Birmingham or in Atlanta at one of our locations. We don't do anything exotic. It's just meeting in one of the rooms. We keep it very simple.
It would be a difficult sell to tell the 900 employees for which you work for that you're going to the Bahamas to plan a family meeting. So
right.
We get it.
One of the things I'd like to offer is, there are our company too came from a family. It was my boss's dad who started the business. He had a heart attack and stroke, and his son, my boss now, Keith, he had to take over. And Keith had already been working for his dad, and they had a very small family. There was a sister, and the sister wasn't part of the business then, so it was just Keith. Everything really fell on Keith's shoulders when his dad became so ill. So that happened in '81, and that February of '81 exactly. And I happened to be running around. I was working at a law firm before I started at BJ Electric, and it was a part-time job. And I thought, well, I really want to find a different job, and so I interviewed with Keith. And he really didn't have a whole lot of business experience. And although he was running a company, it was small. There were only 6 of us at the time when I started. And I became his sister. He's my big brother today. I love him dearly, and I'd be lost without him. So I think, one of the things, even though you may not be, an integral part of the family that started the business, I think I've been just blessed with the opportunity of being a part of that family like I never thought I would be. It's been great to be the little sister and helping Keith out and finding out what to do. His sister did come back to the company eventually and start working for the company as well. And then their mom fell ill, so she started taking care of the mother. So anyway, I've been there through thick and thin with the family, and I do feel like we emit a culture in our company that you're part of the family. That's real important to carry that message on to everybody and be part of the succession plan. Be part of it.
I'll add one more thing to my family. One thing we did early on is we actually put my sisters on the road and had them go to every single location and tell the family story. So one, they get to go face-to-face with associates. We use that as part of recruiting. When we go to new cities, we tell the family story. But it's not all work. We also take 2 things. We take family trips together. So when you have 17 to 20 family members traveling together every few years, that's a perk of the business. And I know that our children look forward to that as you travel around the world. You look for those opportunities to have family time together. The other thing that we do is we take customer incentive trips. And what we do is we invite our family, the adults, to go along and meet our customers and meet our suppliers. So they're part of the business. So it's not all work. It is work. You have to work on these customer incentive trips. But to bring, I have 2 sisters and their spouses who are not involved in the business, but they feel valued and special because they are telling the mayor's story, they're part of the family, and they're breaking bread with customers and suppliers. So it's all part of, I call it just keeping them in the loop. Now our kids are asking when they can go on these trips. We tell them they have to earn it and they have to provide a value. So they're having to earn their stripes.